With the war continuing on planet Earth, the Imperium of Man was still the dominant force overall. But the UNSC newly created Terminators had managed to pull off a magnificent victory over the Orcs, which rivaled the Imperium for many generations. Thus, the next logical step was to put them to the test against the Space Marines. There was no doubt that the Terminators would lose against them in open battle, but the Spartans did manage to go toe-to-toe with them, meaning that the Terminators might prove more success in an ambush situation. Besides the Salamanders, who were dominant in the Middle East, who mainly kept to fighting against the Orcs and not the forces of Earth themselves, there was a detachment of Blood Ravens accompanied by some Rhinos. They would become the target of a few hundred Terminators to see if they could overwhelm them. Alright, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Halo vs. Star Wars vs. Warhammer. Today we got a battle long time in the making. Space Marines versus Terminators, and no, not the Terminators from the Warhammer universe, but the T-800s. You can see there how quickly the Terminators actually get destroyed by the Space Marines' weapons, so there's no question who of the two is more powerful, but there is a difference in this case of how many Terminators the UNSC can throw at us, which is a lot. Maybe an almost infinite amount of units, and you can see that I actually had to heal. So it might be a question of a death by 1,000 cuts, damaging us so much over time that we die. There we go, we already got some fallen brothers. More even. And we actually have to do something that Space Marines normally don't do, and that is seek cover. And again, please do remember that we are playing by the mod's rules and the game's rules. Meaning that it doesn't necessarily follow the lore, I guess, from the actual universes, because I think most people would agree that the Terminators don't stand a chance against the Space Marines. Especially if the regular T-800s are killable by regular humans. Oh, sweet Jesus. This is a terrible spot to actually heal up. But you can see most of my comrades have died. And this is crazy because this gives us in this story a new faction that can possibly gain dominance. Oh my sweet lord. I mean, I am being hunted right now. Look at this. I need to move. Oh my god, they're everywhere. I am out of ammo. Ugh. The UNSC watched from afar with open mouths as the Terminators managed to actually corner the almighty Space Marine. They lost many Terminators in a matter of seconds, but with each loss, they just sent in more. The issue at hand were the Rhinos, which for the moment, they did not have the requirements to destroy or even cripple them. Well, as you could see, my Space Marine died, and there were no other ones that I could change to. I actually had set up like 10 or so other Space Marines that were playable in case I died, and all of them got killed by the Terminators, and they still had an army left. Getting a little bit of reinforcements here with the Rhinos, but they're of course more recon. Not super powerful, but we can actually see if their weapons are powerful enough to deal with the Rhinos, which I don't think they are. Then again, if you look at the previous video, you could actually see what the UNSC was working on, as they too wanted to make a Terminator unit that could deal with the heavy armor of the other factions. Now, I'm only the driver, I'm not actually the gunner, so the gunner is actually, or the AI is choosing the targets. Going after them a little bit more aggressive. Just gonna go up here. Let's drive this piece of scrap over. There we go. Look how many Terminators there are. Oh my goodness. Now before you ask, I do not believe that there are Terminators in the Warhammer mod. So we will not see them. But again, this is very, very interesting as we, again, possibly have a more dominant faction out there. And if people know the Terminator franchise, you know where that goes in terms of story and lore. And I don't think it's a good idea for the UNSC to have a large army of robot AI under their control. As you can see, we here in the Rhino are safe. There's no danger here. What we might do is actually load up some of our fallen brothers, escort them back. Many of them are gone, but we can fix them. I'm pretty sure of that. The other Rhino has stopped firing. But looks like more Terminators are on their way. For each Terminator that was destroyed, 2 more took its place. They indeed could not go toe-to-toe with a Space Marine in an open battlefield, but an area where they had cover on their side proved useful as another wave of machines was sent in. Alright, now we're seeing this battle from the Terminator's perspective as they just keep on sending more and more. It's almost Zerg-like how many they can send in. There we got some of the pinned ones. There you have the Rhinos. Now we already know we cannot really do something against those Rhinos. But we can see how powerful, or how much we can get those remaining Space Marines. The issue too, of course, with the game is that every time they get hit, they flinch. So they become less and less accurate. You can see they usually stay in the open, like a real heroic Space Marine would do. But in this case, they get punished for that. They're popping smoke. Oh god. Oh my goodness. I think that was the heavy bolter that fired at us. That thing's apparently in the game very inaccurate. It certainly has a punch though. There we go. It's difficult to see. Oh, there we went down. And you can see I got hit once and I'm down. You can see how quickly that went. You can actually see that there are still Space Marines alive in this case. My goodness. Who would have thought? I could see the Terminators win against the Orcs, again, not necessarily from a Warhammer lore perspective, but again from the game and the mods, because I knew how powerful the weapons were of the Terminators themselves. Those perimeters in the mod are pretty ridiculous, which makes them very, very scary. We can see if we can do some damage here. The Rhino will notice. It's just ignoring us. Oh no, wait, here he goes. Ugh! Again, the Terminators themselves, weak. but their strength is in numbers. Yep. All the Terminators, or all the Space Marines have been dealt with. These Terminators are even going away from the battle. My god. So we know now that in the series, Terminators dominate orcs. They dominate space marines. Now the final question is, will their heavy armor dominate the other faction's heavy armor? The impossible had been achieved. The UNSC had created a machine that could hold its own against the feared Space Marine, even more effective than their Spartans. But now, the real challenge was to create something that could hold its own against an Orc Stompa or a Warhound Titan, two behemoths that were responsible for the destruction of multiple cities. If this could be pulled off, the UNSC might be able to reach dominance once more, unless the machines would turn on their masters.